Welcome to the channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. Today's review will be on the San Martin Black Warrior SN0068. Take this opportunity to hit the subscribe button and remember to hit the notifications bell so you stay up to date with all the latest reviews. You can also check the links in the description, which will have AliExpress links related to the watches that are being reviewed. Enjoy the review and thank you for watching. So we're on the AliExpress website and on the San Martin store. Let's look at the watch in question. Straight away you'll get a little video come up by San Martin, which basically just showcases the different color options and the fine details of the watch with some great photography. Obviously this always helps if it's the first time you're buying a watch and you just really want to know what it actually looks like away from the stock photos. So you can see the USP with this watch is the different colored looms. This full black stealth version where everything's just black on black and you've got this brightly colored loom. I think it's something fantastic. They've done something different. We're just very desensitized now. We're seeing the same stuff again and again. So it is refreshing when somebody creates something which is just totally different. You can see some live pictures as well from people that have bought. On the site you'll also see the customer reviews. So far it's full 5-star out of 19 published reviews. So far it's looking great. There's no issues with the watch at all as far as you can tell from the reviews. You've got your specifications on the top, fairly detailed. You get your full dimensions, the case material, the finish on the hands, etc. So generally San Martin are good with the descriptions. They seem to cover everything that needs to be covered. I do realize that people sometimes struggle on AliExpress to find the right customization options, just to generally how to navigate the site. So that's why I've started to include this section so you familiarize yourself with the store, and it's actually quite easy to purchase. So having said that, San Martin is quite user friendly, gives you all the information you need, and can't wait to review the watch. Welcome to the channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. Join me today, as the video suggests. The review today is going to be on the San Martin Black Warrior SN0068G. This is what you get in the box. This is what the box looks like. Standard box now. So you see this box, Steel Dive, San Martin. They use these boxes. I personally really like them. Very robust. They do the job. In the box you're looking to get a San Martin tag. You're also looking to get a warranty card, an instruction manual, stamped, dated. We've got all the instructions here, and of course you have the actual watch. I seem to be getting a lot of comments about quality, about you know, people are not happy with so and so, such and such with the watch, and I don't get why we're not treating AliExpress like a normal store like eBay. You know, you have an option for returns or refunds. So first thing is, speak to the seller. If you get a issue with the watch and you're not happy and it clearly is a defect, then first thing is you'll message the agent, the seller, explaining your problem, and then if they don't want to resolve it, you just raise it with AliExpress, and for the most part they should pay your postage back. I realize obviously if you're in the UK you're looking at roughly 15 to 20 pounds depending on what you've purchased, but a lot of the time they should accept that, because at the end of the day it's their fault. Yes, it is long-winded. You know, on the other hand, most of these, because they're all Seiko homages and the parts are very familiar, you could get the issue fixed for yourself without it costing too much. Let's get to the watch. That's just a bit of advice there. So with the watch, let's give it a quick once over. Just see what we're dealing with here. Now from the moment I saw these watches released, I knew there would be something special. I've seen them come out, I think, on WR watches, because I'll get notifications because I signed up to their website. and instantly I thought, wow, that's something different. Obviously it's a homage, but different in the sense that they've done the styling slightly different. You know, this whole colored loom option is pretty new. We've only just got used to C3 and BGW9. Now we see San Martin come out with the orange, red, and white loom. So I think that looks fantastic. Also in the modding world, there's a few stealth mod builds coming out, and then San Martin have come out with a real stealth, where if you get the black version, which has got the black indices and on the dial and the bezel insert, it just looks fantastic, like, you know, some COD Black Ops stuff. Very nice looking. And again, I think with this particular model, that is what the USP is. Let's get straight into it then. We'll start off usual fashion. We'll start off with the specifications and the dimensions. So specifications, it runs a NH35 Seiko Epson movement. It's a 24 joule movement, which beats at 21,600 beats per hour, or vibrations per hour, and that relates into a 6 ticks a second sweep. You've also got a domed sapphire glass, and you've got a 120 unidirectional click bezel, and you've got a screw down crown, and that's it for the specifications. So pretty standard specifications is what we're used to. It's not a bad thing, because you know you've got reliability and you've got, you know, premium materials. So dimensions, case diameter, it's a 42mm case, and you've got the thickness of the case is coming in at 13mm, and that's what it's stated on the San Martin website. However, if you were to measure it yourself, which I have done to confirm these measurements, the actual case thickness is about 13.4, so closer to the 13.5 mark. You've got a log to log case length of 48mm, and you've got a 20mm log width. So far, very good proportions, great dimensions. It's going to fit a lot more wrist styles, sizes, sorry, not styles, starting from around 6.5 inches to anything over. Let's start looking at the watch a bit closer, and you'll know that this straight away is a homage of the Seiko 6105-8000 case, and this is the predecessor to the Seiko 6105 Captain Willard. So once again, credit due to Seiko for making such timeless cases, watches that now are coming back around, and you're not paying reissue prices. Remember that. You know, the best way to look at this watch is probably a modified watch that gives you, you know, all the fun of having a retro, vintage, classic back in your hands, without obviously that the price and the reissues out from Seiko at the moment, let's face it, they are very ridiculously priced. So on the dial, you'll see, looking at the indices, you've got the similar indices as you have on the actual Seiko dials. You'll notice a slight difference, that 12 o'clock indice, the 12 o'clock index is just slightly longer, slightly more elongated. However, you've got great quality, great finish, great attention to detail, where all the indices around the dial, they've got this silver polished border around. You've also got a date window at the 3 o'clock position. Again, the date window has a frame around it, so you've got some great attention to detail on the dial. You've got a applied logo which states San Martin at 12 o'clock, and you've got printed writing at the bottom, automatic, water, 200 meters, resist. The 200 meters, as you can see, it's in red, just to give it that little bit of contrast, and so it stands out. The San Martin logo, 3D logo, and it's been black plated, as well as the finish on the hands, and the light catches this this finishing just in a different way. So as you turn the watch, sometimes it's silver and then sometimes it's black, and I love the way they've done that. And that's the same thing with the font. So if I turn it, you'll see, look how silver that looks, and then it'll go back to black. The watch also features a chapter ring, which is not commonly seen on these style of watches from other manufacturers, so it's a nice touch to see that chapter ring. Let's focus in on the actual quality of the hands. I really do love these hands, and these are quite different to what we usually see. So I've looked at the Captain Willard quite a lot of times, what I mean the steel die version at least, and we've recently covered the rectangular 6105-8000, which I will be doing a comparison review in the near future. But just paying attention to these hands, just look at the level of detail. You can see the center of the minute and hour hand. You've got this linear brushing, and the hands also feature chamfer edges, polished, just to give you this reflection of the light. And with the black plating, gives you this awesome effect where it seems to be going between silver and black. Also, you'll notice the seconds hand, you actually can't see the small hole where the seconds hand sits on the actual pivot. So that's a really nice touch. And you've got a traffic light seconds hand, and it's missing the red dot. They've done that obviously to keep up with the color scheme. However, even with the red dot, I think it would have matched really nicely with that 200 meters water resist, which is in red. There's a great amount of detail on the dial, even though from far it might look quite plain and quite simple, but when you just go in closer, you'll see all these tiny little features that I've just covered. Right, moving on to the sapphire crystal, and another plus point with this sapphire crystal, look how flush that sits. It's got a great fit and finish, and this is a domed sapphire glass. Now, interestingly enough, the description states this is a Swiss AR coated glass. I don't know if there is a difference, but you can clearly see the AR coating isn't that bright or that strong. Sorry, not bright, that strong. So if you remember the rectangular and a few steel dive watches, they've got this overpowering AR coating. Sure, it's a nice thing to have, so it's made a lot of people want just clear AR coating. However, with this watch, it's subtle enough that it doesn't give you this overpowering look. However, you can still see that it is present. So it's a good balance, I reckon. You can still see that blackness of that dial. You'll see some glare, that's because of the light surrounding the camera. However, away from that, it's actually fine. So the bezel insert, now this is something else, another interesting feature which I haven't seen, or you don't see it very often. The lume on the dial and bezel is Super Luminova. Now, I can't remember exactly what color lume this is, but we're going to look at it now anyway. But the indices on the actual bezel insert, along with the dial, they are illuminated, and the insert itself is aluminium. That's what I find so interesting. You rarely see aluminium inserts which are fully lumed. So obviously it's been applied, and if you just look at it slightly closer, you can see it's very clean, crisp. There's no smudging. Also, if you pay attention to the dots, they're pretty evenly spread around. The reason I mentioned that, if you just notice, sometimes the dots actually vary in how far they are away from the crystal. That's just due to the stamping and obviously quality. Another feature on the actual bezel insert. Now, I've seen this feature, I'd say on the Submariner as well, where you've got this subset pip at the 12 o'clock. Now, I love the way they've done it. Rather than have it sitting flush, it looks like it's been molded into the actual bezel insert. So it does not look like a separate piece at all. I love the way that sits. At this angle, you can also see a very slight chamfer around the crystal, which gives you a very slight refraction effect where you can see the chapter ring. Let's have a look at the lume before we continue on to the rest of the watch. As you can see, there's generous amounts of BGW9 lume applied to the bezel insert and the actual dial. You can see there's no fading or no patchiness. It's very bright and indeed very clear. BGW9 does have decent longevity and is also used on prestigious brands such as Rolex. A point worth mentioning here is if you went for the yellow or the red lume, that won't last as long as you have the C3 or the BGW9. However, it still does look pretty awesome. Now moving on to the case, you've got a full PVD coated case. The coating is all finished in matte, really well coated. I received this and there's no marks or any damage on it. And common question is, you know, if it gets damaged, will it scratch off? I'd assume so. I have got some PVD coated watches, a couple, and I believe it varies. So I've got one that I built myself. It's just a black standard case with, and I've slapped in a Heimdallr dial. Now you'll see this case here, the coating is slightly shinier, and if you do knock this, and I believe it has been knocked, I'm just trying to find where that was, but yeah, the paint will come off and expose a silver case underneath. This one's got matte finish, and just by touching it, you can tell it's a bit thicker, but ultimately if you do knock it hard enough, I am assuming you will reveal some of that stainless steel case. I am conscious that I didn't actually give you a bezel rotation, so let's just rotate the bezel here before we move on. As mentioned, it's a 120 click unidirectional bezel, very smooth to move, very tactical feedback on that, so you literally feel every single click. It doesn't take much force, there's no hot spots, it's not getting stuck anywhere really. Alignment, to be honest with everyone, I'm not really fussed about alignment now. So what you'll see is it aligns itself perfectly, right? However, you'll see at the 6 p.m. where you got 30 at the bottom, the 30 is just slightly off. It's not dead center. I don't expect that level of perfection, and I think people who expect that level, you're looking at the wrong watches, to be honest. You know, we know famously Seiko's anti-counterfeit measures, as you know the joke is now, the bezels don't align perfectly well. It's okay, to be honest, for the most part. It is okay, it's a non-issue. Yes, some people might find it slightly concerning or might bother them, but you've got to, again, you're looking at it differently. You know, it's not that high end of a watch, to be honest. They're just entry-level watches, in all honesty. So the alignment's not a problem for me at all. Coin edge style, if I didn't mention it. So back to the case. Feature, you've got drilled end lugs. Fantastic. I think every watch case should have that. It just takes out all the effort, all the potential damage of doing strap changes. The more you change, you know, you're just going to leave gashes in the back of the case. And you know, these things, they're pretty sharp, so if you're not careful, you can end up poking yourself while you're doing it as well. So it's a nice easy option to change the straps over. Case back, you've got a silver polished case back, very standard sapphire stainless. It's got your movement on there, San Martin sub 0068, at least the model number matches on the case back. Interestingly enough, you'll notice there's no emblems, there's no, I believe they're called giblets or giblets, find that to be a funny word. So there's no shark logo on the back, there's nothing on the crown. So it would be nice, because these originally, believe it or not, they came out as limited edition. I saw them on WR Watches saying there's a limited quantity. So it would be nice to have just engraved something on the back, something to do with the Black Warrior. But there's none of that. Personally, I don't mind the sterile look. I don't mind it at all. I think for me, the less branding, apart from the logos on the actual watch, it's okay. It opens the possibilities to mod them and just put in different dials. On fonts, logos, while we're there, let's take a look at that San Martin logo. I don't have an issue with the name San Martin. I have an issue with how they print their logos. When they use printed dials, they use a very dead style of font, which I hate, and it makes it look worse. If you look at this, it's a slightly stylized font. and I think there's nothing at all wrong with that. I think it looks perfectly fine. After the case, obviously strap, it comes with this very nice vintage style waffle strap. The waffle strap is branded. You've got the San Martin shark, pretty cool looking shark to be honest, and then you've got San Martin at the back. Strap's okay, there's no issues, and the actual buckle is also PVD. Slightly thin, you know, I think a thicker buckle would have been nicer, but that's okay. So all in all, I think really well made watch. Stealth looks. I think this really will definitely hit a number of you out there. It'll definitely hit a little part of the market that like this look. Let's give you a wrist shot and we'll come back and we'll finish this review off with a concise sort of summary. The watch does sit very comfortably on my 6.5 inch wrist. That's due to the case shape, the lightweightness of the watch, and just the way it contours around the wrist. The strap also helps it along. Very good watch, very comfortable. So final thoughts on the watch. I really love it. Overall, I think they've done something fantastic here. Yes, it's a homage or a coupage, but I think it's different enough. They've hit just the whole fact that they've done different colored looms, which on the bezel insert and the dial, it shows they are thinking. I always feel weird saying this out of the box because I know we're talking about homages and coupages really. However, it's nice to see. It is refreshing, as I've said. Blue, green, yellow, red, all those different colors. It gives the watch a really unique look. It's a very sporty, you know, stealth, tactical watch. And I think a lot of people out there will actually appreciate it and they will really enjoy wearing this watch. It just looks cool. And obviously with, you know, how people are DC Marvel fans, you know, you can always say it looks like a Batman watch, you know, whatever. Really nice. Any bones to pick, any major issues? None at all. I've got no bones to pick with it. I like what they've done. The special features, for example, the hands, the way they've machined the hands, the logo, you know, the black plating on the hands, just the smaller details they've gone into. It is great. And you can see with San Martin, it's that refinement that we're after. And then the only thing then you've got to justify it, is it worth the price? These aren't too bad. They sit around the 150 or 160 mark. So that makes them more expensive than the Steel Dive and the Heimdallr. And then, but, you know, there's the room for improvement in the Steel Dives, definitely. And I think the reason the Steel Dive 6105, 8100 sell a lot more is because of the case they are homaging. There's no doubt about that. You know, the bezel, everything is just spot on. It works. There's no, oh, I wish it did this, only if it was a bit better like that. And that's where I think San Martin, that's where I think a lot of people do like San Martins. And that's what I want to discover. That's why I posted that picture when I've got, I don't know, I think it's 8 different boxes. I bought a few watches from San Martin because now I just want to really focus on them and see what makes them so different, and ultimately, is it worth that extra amount that you're paying for it, and is it justified? So all in all, that's done. I will be reviewing this, comparing this against the, what do you call it, the rectangular 6105 8000. I think that'll be an interesting review because they are the same case. They're being sold by the same vendor, and it'll be really interesting to see how they stack up against each other. So look, I've got a little PVD collection here for everyone. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you for the next review.